let's just go into your reading. And I feel that the overall energy that is permeating this spread talks a lot about actions and consequences. Okay, so I feel like a lot of you have made a decision, and I feel that it might not have been a smart decision for yourself. As a result of these decisions, a lot of irreconcilable differences and a lot of, there were bridges that were burned, and there were feelings that were hurt. And I feel there is this sense of like things cannot go back to the way that they were, right? With the Five of Cups here. So, and I specifically get with this card, burn bridges. Things cannot go back to the way that they were. And so I feel that, the way that you figure in this spread here was that for a lot of you, the decision was contingent upon financial security. Okay, the situation was at a point where you feel that your financial security, your financial foundation, your financial base was so important that you had to make a decision to protect it, to preserve it. And it might also involve, like in a work environment where you had to do no matter at whatever cost. You had to protect your role. You had to protect your position. You had to move ahead. And so it could basically be, I feel some of you might have done something where I'm sensing like getting yourself out of a situation because it really threatened your financial security. It really threatened all the things that you know and cherish and love. And you had to go about it in a way, it was sheer self-preservation, okay? So the decision, I felt like for some of you, it was a difficult work environment. You needed to get out of it. But I feel that the way that it was done was problematic because it created rifts and it burned bridges between people. And I also feel there was an element here where you might have withheld the truth, okay? And so one of the things here is, going back to actions and consequences. And because the major arcana that represents you, this is a card about karmic justice. This is a card pretty much about, whatever has been wrong will be righted. It might not come right away. It might be delayed, but there will be a time where we are going to be called upon to do the right thing and to behave in a way that is morally right for us. Okay, so I feel that whatever situation that you were getting away from, you are now in a position where there is a lot of success overall. Where there's a lot, this is the Six of Wands, overall success, getting very, very positive reception, getting very, very positive accolades, and the attention is on you. And so I feel that, it's sort of like dodging one situation and then being in another situation right now where you are very, very, very accountable, where you are in the spotlight. So a lot of people see what you're doing, and what you're doing wrong needs to be rectified. What you have done right will be, celebrated. So if there has been things that were wrong in the past, it's really important to rectify the situation in the present. Okay. So that basically means being a lot more willing to chip in, being a lot more of a team player, being a lot more ready to volunteer your time, volunteer your services, and to be very proactive about the work that you do, because you're in the limelight. So you no longer can hide behind the scenes. You no longer can hold on to, secrets and things like that if you have held on to them in the past. So I feel like it's like shifting from one karmic situation to the next, and what you do in this present moment is actually very important, okay? And so my advice here overall, this is what I'm seeing. We have the major arcana, the world, and the world basically deals with humanitarian endeavors. It basically deals with pretty much, like we're not all living in a bubble. We're not all, living for ourselves. So whatever situation that brought out this intense fear of security, where you felt like things were happening in a very unstable way, and you had to, make very, very swift decisions to protect yourself. It's basically hearkening back to that energy with the world here. It indicates we are all interconnected. And what one person does actually affects all the other parts and affects everybody in the situation as a whole. So in a way, we can say that it's on a vibrational level. It's a ripple effect, okay? If things were not presented in a truthful manner, or if decisions were not made out of higher consciousness, but rather made from a position of fear, the ripple effects will really affect the ability for you to achieve further success and to advance in your career and advance in life overall. So I feel overall there are some things that need to be adjusted. There are some things that are coming back here for review, especially for the next, 7 months for the rest of this year. So whatever has been problematic and has not been rectified, you have an opportunity to do it now. And granted, you're in a position where you're in a very, very public space and a lot of eyes will be on you. But do the right thing and do the honorable thing so that you can move yourself along and feel like the burden has lifted off your chest. And I especially see, doing the right thing to mend some broken relationships. Okay. I have a deck here that it's a playing card and I love the imagery. So I usually do it to read imagery. We have here the Ten of Pentacles, and traditionally, if you transpose the meaning of this, it would be the Ten of Pentacles. So it basically means that, in the process of achieving that financial stability, you really want to think about, like what you had to do in order to get there, and whether or not the financial stability brings contentment, or does it feel kind of isolated and lonely? Okay. And I also feel we have here the Nine of Cups, and this is, based on this imagery, with the Nine of Cups, it deals heavily with, emotional fulfillment, but at the same time, it's a very lonely, isolated card, and it also indicates as well having a lot of abundance, having a lot of love, having a lot of just overall financial, emotional abundance at our disposal, and oftentimes taking it for granted too. So reconnect with others. Okay, I feel like this year is all about forging, like mending ties, mending rifts, overcoming, those emotional rifts, reconnecting with other people, because once again, we're not all living in a bubble. Our actions affect other people in a very energetic, cosmic way. And so you are a very, very smart sign, Libras. And I feel like you're the most directed of all the air sign. You're not scattered and, typically forgetful like a Gemini. And you also don't rationalize and, inundate yourself with fear like an Aquarius. So I feel like your energy is very, very directed. So it's all about, directing your energy to try to realign yourself. Okay. Okay. So the people who are actually giving you a lot of emotional support, who have provided a lot of love over the years, and who have provided, like a sounding board for you to bounce ideas off of. So I feel this overwhelming sense of nostalgia for the people that you really care about, and, putting things into perspective for you so that you understand who's really on your side and that you understand who's really there to promote your greater good, to want you to advance, to want you to elevate, to want you to become a better person. So I feel like that sense of nostalgia, that sense of like, wow, this person really cared about me, or that person, they say they care, but it's all on the surface. Deep down, they don't really care about me. They have their own personal agenda. So deciphering, differentiating between the people that really, really wanted you to become a better person, and they might have done things to help you grow, versus the people that talk about, what they wanted from you, but they don't really follow up with concrete actions to help you realize your potential or to help you realize your dreams. I feel like in the past, I feel like you guys are very, generally, you're very conflict avoidant, okay? You're very articulate. You can communicate really well. You can argue, your point of view. But when things get a little bit too heated, I feel that you tend to just kind of slink away. So I feel like you're very conflict avoidant. And you give people, the benefit of the doubt, because generally you feel that, oh, if it escalates into tension, into conflict too fast, it's easier for me to just cut them out rather than dealing with that situation. So I feel like there's a process here where you are looking back and you're looking at situations from the past in a realistic hindsight, pretty much, where you might have realized this person from your past that you might not have liked, mainly because they're very rigid, they're very strict. For some of you, they're so articulate and they're so smart that you couldn't argue with them, right? And I also feel that they're, in your eyes, they lack creativity, they lack imagination because they're so rigid. And you also feel that, other people don't like them either, so there has to be something wrong with them. Well, the thing is, the person that you're dealing with is operating from a place of very, very intense, high wisdom. They do, given the circumstances, they do whatever they believe is right. And they don't care what other people think because they know deep down within themselves that they're doing the right thing. So they're not looking at their environment for validation, right? I feel like you might have dealt with an earth sign, so a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn that behaved this way. They're so sure of what they're doing, and I feel that they're on the right track. That's why they're so sure. And so I feel like you might have misjudged the situation, or you might have taken, you might have followed along the crowd. If the crowd disagrees with this person, I feel like you went with it without digging deeper into this person's motives, okay? Because their motives are very selfless. Their motives are not in alignment with other people's motives, because other people's motives, the ones that you might have bandwagon with, they didn't have pure motives. Does that make sense? So I feel like there's this earth sign that is offering you kind of like the voice of reason in a very chaotic environment, right? And then we have other people kind of like branching off, breaking away, and kind of like dissent is what I'm seeing. And people are just like, no, I'm going to do this because it makes me feel good. And then you're just like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound bad. So you might have followed that route. And then there's other people saying, I'm going to do this because financially it's going to benefit me. So it's like very little work for a lot of financial gain. So I would say some type of risky venture. And so you might have been like, you know what, that sounds good. So you might have gone on that route. So the point here is, I feel like for the next 2 weeks, you're going to start to see the consequences of these actions, okay? And these things are coming through as a reminder for you to really understand that you need to pick a route that is uniquely for you. Don't follow what other people are doing. Trailblaze, okay? Create that own path for yourself, because they're doing what is appropriate for them, which is not appropriate for you. You are a really smart sign, and you see the pros and cons, of every situation. And a lot of the times too, and this is a weird saying for an air sign, but I feel that once you have an emotional connection with a person, you might blindly follow them, even though it's not in your best interest, okay? So I feel like detaching your head from your heart and making rational decisions when it involves you and your future and, your character development and all these things that are separate from another person. That's when the hard decisions come in. That's when, if you don't have that strong sense of self, you're going to fluctuate. You're going to bend with the wind and you're going to be sidelined away or, sidetracked away from your true path. So I feel like Libras, the next 2 weeks is about introspection, is about making those difficult decisions about what's right and what's wrong, what you need to do as a person versus what other people want you to do, which might or might not be in your best interest. But figuring out at the baseline level what you need to do for yourself to be happy and what you need to do on the moral basis, like what you need to do morally, what is the right moral thing to do. That's really important because I feel like you're pulled in multiple directions. And I feel that, once again, the harder decisions to make are the ones that we don't want to make. It requires a lot of work, requires a lot of effort, requires getting our hands dirty. And so we don't want to make these things, these decisions. We don't want to, have to go down that route. But I feel like if you've been avoiding it, it might be a lot worse in your head than it is in reality. And so they're saying here, stand up for that moral path and you will be fine. Okay. So I feel like I might, make it out to be something very nonchalant, but I feel that it's a little bit deeper than that. And I feel like for those of you where this, for those of you who might experience this on a very deep level, and I feel like it's a series of decisions that you have made that might not be following your true path. And so the consequences seem like it's very backed up, right? Like seems like it's just one after the other. And so you're sifting it through, you're trying to make sense of it, and you're trying to filter it out so that you can escape the cycle. That's what it feels like to me. So some of you, this decision might be very minor. Others of you, it's like a pattern, a recurring thing. Do the right thing, okay?